Welcome to Cardiff, the spiritual home of TV poker, for tonight's heat of Coral Late Night Poker. There are 2 places available for the grand final and 8 players desperate to claim them. So, who's here for your entertainment this evening? It's certainly not me. At the table, he's a popular poker writer and mentor, a cash game specialist as well as top tournament player. If you want advice about poker, he's the perfect person to talk to. I say talk to, I mean listen to. Neil Channing. An American with fearless poker skills and the results to prove it. In live tournaments, she's won over $4 million. That's one hell of a lot of shoes and bags that a different person would have bought. The phenomenal Vanessa Selbst. Our online qualifier tonight, from Chester, a keen online Omaha cash player, Rob Oakle. Winner of the 2010 World Series of Poker Europe, big cash game player as well, James Board. This guy's made a record 3 finals in this series' history. Mr. Late Night Poker himself, Joe Beavers. Or Mr. Beavers himself, Joe Late Night Poker. In 2011, he won a World Series bracelet to complete poker's coveted Triple Crown. And I once saw him asleep on a plane cuddling a toy wolf. Beat that story, Peter Ustinov. It's Jake Cody. Ever present in Late Night Poker, it's World Series bracelet holder Ram Vaswani, known as Crazy Horse. I assume because a ram is a male horse. Do write in if I'm wrong. And finally, a big online winner who crushes the side events on the EPT circuit. It's John Eames. Of course, my co-commentator tonight is a better player than all of them. It's James Aikenhead.
Hi, Vicky.
What do you think of this lineup tonight? Who do you reckon will go through? I should point out that this series of Late Night Poker, 2 players will qualify for the final. If you had to pick 2, who would they be?
Yeah, the structure's changed a bit this year, which is a bit interesting when it gets down to 3-handed. I'm going to say Cody, because he's a good friend of mine and a very, very good player. And I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say Vanessa Selbst, because she's a really, really good player. She's had an amazing year or 2, winning the Mohegan Sun tournament back-to-back years, and also a bracelet.
Raise. We raised to 600.
Now, Rob Oakle, the online qualifier, has only just sat down at the table. He'll be much less used to this televised tournament situation than the others, and he's found a difficult hand. There's been a raise.
Yeah, he's decided to play it in the more aggressive way by 3-betting, which is absolutely fine. A very aggressive player who I'm sure he knows has opened the cut-off, so her range is pretty wide, and Ace-Jack is going to be ahead of most of the hands she'll have.
But what about that? Where does that leave Beavers?
Beavers with a pair of 9s in the big blind.
Call.
He's called 3-bet, okay?
Selbst raised, Oakle re-raised, and Beavers a smooth call with the 9s.
Yeah, that's going to throw a bit of caution into Vanessa Selbst's head. She's now been priced into call, so she's going to take a flop.
I think what it proves is that Vanessa Selbst's reputation precedes her, because, you know, for Oakle to raise her with Ace-Jack and Beavers to call it with 9s, they're not frightened of her, though she does have the best hand. Or did.
Check.
Oakle has been rewarded for his aggressive 3-betting action. He's hit top pair.
It's a really good flop for him. He has to be a little worried about what the other 2 players have, because Joe Beavers' play is obviously quite strong. Cold calling the 3-bet from the big blind in the first level.
Bet to 1100. Pass.
But he's going to like that fold.
And they both give it up. Both pros beaten by the online qualifier. Rewarded for his raise. Picks up an early pot. That'll be good for his confidence, won't it, at the
Definitely, exactly. It's always good when you can get a nice pot in early on. Get you in the groove.
I had the best hand pre-flop.
Here's the cool thing about Vanessa Selbst. Despite the fact that she's won $4 million playing poker and is acknowledged one of the greats of the game, she's still at law school.
Yeah, I'll bet the other side.
Still studying a law degree at Yale University.
Kind of feel guilty in those spots.
Yeah, she has 1 semester left from a 7-year degree, so she said she might as well finish it off.
Mixing in the poker fraternity might give her some practice with the dodginess either of criminals or of lawyers. Take your pick. Another big hand for James Board. King 8.
Yeah.
Raised to 300.
Did not come into fold all the way from London.
Here's your friend Jake Cody.
Pretty hand in the small blind.
Call.
Let's see a flop with it. Rams picked up a monster. 9-3 off.
Call.
Slow playing it.
So,
Thank you.
two preposterous hands go up against Jake Cody's King Queen.
3 players.
Well, Board will probably want to continue having
Check.
hit the flop.
Check. And check.
No, checks it.
Just trying to find out if his king's good.
Well, now Vaswani's got a pair as well.
Jake has no reason to believe why his hand's not good now.
Bet 550.
Neither does Ram.
No, well, Vaswani is trapped there between the under-the-gun better and the pre-flop raiser.
Yeah, he's sandwiched.
This can be the problem with raising at this stage with a hand like King 8, because even if you hit, it may not be good news.
Exactly. And the ace has obviously saved him as a king high flop. He's going to do a lot more chips in this pot. He could get away from it here if he thinks Jake's got a hand, but he's reaching for chips, looks like.
Call.
So he doesn't believe him.
Makes the call.
Thanks.
And Jake's probably thinking he has the best hand here. Probably decide to go for a bet for value on the river here and try and make James think he's actually bluffing, given the fact it's now one card for a straight.
Jake Cody must know James Board is known as an action player. If he had the ace in his hand, he would probably have bet the flop and or raised the turn.
Yep, there's no reason to believe he doesn't have the best hand.
Check.
Well, he has checked, and maybe that's because a bit of a loose cannon board. It's possible that Cody could bet and Board would raise just for the hell of it, and then it would be a nasty decision with second pair. But they both checked it. Caution won the day, and Jake Cody will see that his queen kicker is good to win the pot. I'm a big fan of Jake Cody, I've got to say that. I mean, obviously he's a brilliant poker player. He came from nowhere to win pretty much everything. But he's also an incredibly grounded, down-to-earth, likeable kind of guy.
It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you.
I've got a poker quiz for you, James. Ram Vaswani is one of only 3 players to have competed in all 9 series of late night poker. 10 now. Who are the other 2?
I'm going to go for Devilfish.
Apparently they won that.
No.
Restaurant.
I'll give you a clue.
John Duffy.
No.
Oh, no. I'm all for this.
One of them I'm not expecting you to get, but the other one, the answer is sitting in front of you.
Joe Beavers.
Joe Beavers, and the third is Dave Colclough.
Stand up.
Joe Beavers, Ram Vaswani and Dave Colclough are the only players who appeared in all the previous series of late night poker.
Raised to 250.
Vanessa Seltz raising from the button with a 6-7 of hearts, as you might expect. Can I just make clear, by the way, James, when I said she doesn't buy a lot of shoes and bags, what male viewers might not realise is I mean that as a compliment. A lot of floozies in modern poker never won anything, just pose a lot in bikinis. Seltz plays on her strengths. I admire her a lot for that.
Do you know exactly how old these bikini-wearing poker players?
Don't tell me you don't know. Well now, Vanessa Seltz has got an up and down straight draw. Bottom pair for Board.
Check.
They both check it.
Now, Board has no reason to believe his hand's behind.
Check.
He checks it though.
I'd be very surprised if Vanessa doesn't bet here.
Check.
They both suspect the other of trapping. And look, now Seltz has made bottom pair.
But Boardy has the unbeatable 3-pair.
He does. It makes no difference to Board's hand, but Seltz may think that the 2 pair she's just hit is worth a little call.
Yep, I reckon so. I think she might just do that. She has no reason to believe her hand's not good now. Just has to work out whether James is trapping with some sort of pair or 3 of a kind on the turn.
Oh, man.
I just feel like an action player like Board who will play quite a wide range you know, he deserves to get paid in a situation like this where the pre-flop raisers hit 2-pair. Nobody's bet throughout the hand. I mean, the amount of money he puts in the advertising budget, you'd think he could sell the product occasionally.
Got an 8.
And she does call. 8's good for James Board. Will he be embarrassed that he had to show 8-6 with a call out of position?
No, not at all. We love it.
Someone's not happy.
Vanessa is a tremendously strong player. She's got a credible tournament record, great cash player, good all-round player, one of the best poker players in the world, definitely probably the best women poker player around by a mile.
2 players will qualify for the final from this lineup at Coral Late Night Poker. The winner will go through with 50,000 in chips. The runner-up gets 30,000.
Pass.
Passing, and we're on James Board, who's been active already. He's been making most of the action in the early hands. Certainly a pair will get him raising. It feels like a good spot for a raise against such an active player.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Re-raise to 1400.
And he does re-raise. And this is all about table image, because if, for example, Neil Channing had raised, Beavers would probably muck the ace-jack.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But against
Pass.
Board, you know, he feels that the man could have a much worse hand, and he's asking the question.
Pass.
And a player like Neil will use that to his advantage later on, I'm sure.
I don't see him passing this pair without at least seeing a flop. What about the 4-bet? It's an option.
It's definitely an option. The problem with that is that Beavers is quite conservative at this stage of a tournament, so I think too often at the time he's just going to get shoved on, and obviously then he won't be able to call with a pair of 4s.
Now, this is what they call levelling. He thinks that I think that he thinks that I think. If Beavers is a conservative player, but Board thinks he's noticed his own active play, he might think Beavers will raise with a wide range, but he'd also fold a wide range for the 4-bet.
That's what poker's all about these days. Getting yourself to the right level, and he's made a good fold.
Makes the fold. Well done, Beavers, collecting the pot with the re-raise. There wasn't much in it. The 2 hands were racing against each other, but why take the chip risk of doing that so early? Welcome back to the action here at Coral Late Night Poker. There is a $320,000 prize pool, and the winner will get $150,000.
Pass. 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 Pass.
John Eames. Viewers may not know him, but he's a very respected online player, and he's had some great results in the side events at the EPT. He won a high roller and lots of cashes.
Yeah, he's had great success in the last year or two on the European circuit.
Oh.
Pretty much the first hand he's played. Selpst, though, keeps him honest with what we know is a much better hand.
That's a decent flop for John.
Check. 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 Bet 650.
They both check the flop, and Eames has bet the turn with absolutely nothing at all. And Selpst is thinking, well, if he couldn't continuation bet on that flop, why does he like it now there's a second 5?
Yeah, it might mean he's trying to rep a hand like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens.
Well, she gives up. the queen high, and Eames takes it with 10 high. As you can see from the action, these players are all extremely disciplined people. We asked them, if you could eat one food in any quantity, as much as you liked, what would it be?
I actually think I would change it to alcohol and just be able to drink alcohol with no hangover and no, like, not be able to, like, die when you're young and stuff. I would love that.
Generally speaking, cakes, biscuits and pies, they'll do me for the rest of eternity.
I guess I'd probably eat a lot of desserts if you had no effect on you whatsoever.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to say chocolate, but with a glass of Sancerre.
I think it'd probably be donuts.
Well, any sort of cereal. I love cereals.
I guess maybe steak, you know, like something like that compares to a really good steak.
Avocado, definitely.
Do you know, if you'd asked me in advance to guess what food James Board would eat all the time if he could do it with no ill effects, I wouldn't have gone with avocado.
Pass.
Joe Beevers, Hendon Mobster, Late Night Poker record finalist.
Raise to 550.
Finds one of the old classics.
Pass. Pass.
Now here's a good test of John Eames, because this is an extremely playable hand.
Pass.
But he's not a big mistake maker, so let's see how it plays out over the course of the hand.
Yeah, he decided not to free bet, which is
Pass.
probably the best play against a more conservative player as well. In position.
2 players.
Well, they both missed it, so Beaver's still in front.
Check.
They both have kind of straight draws, but nothing real.
I like betting this flop.
Bet 800.
If he does check call, you can try and work out what hand he has by the way he plays his hand, and then you can decide to fire another bullet on the turn or check back and take a free card, try and hit a king or an ace, even though an ace wouldn't be good for him.
Beaver's now working out if this online whiz is simply exploiting his check on the flop by betting with nothing, or if it's real.
Yeah, well, it worked.
Pass.
Nice bet, nice hand.
Well, it's a forgivable fold. Joe Beaver's out of position there on a flop that he's missed. He decides to get out cheap rather than make a big battle of it just with overcards.
Yeah, he's a bit wary about John Eames, I'm sure. He's been playing pretty tight. That's the wonder what he called him with pre-flop.
Very quiet around the table here at Coral Late Night Poker. Not much needle and banter going on.
Pass.
500.
Raise to 500.
Here comes John Eames with the ace-king.
Eddie with the ace-king.
His nickname's Eddie. It's not the most colourful nickname in all of poker, is it?
I don't even know where it comes from.
Well, we've got crazy horses and devil fishes. And Eddie.
Re-raise to 1300. Pass.
Well, Vanessa Selbst re-raising. She reckons John Eames is a tight player who'll give up a lot of hands. Look at this. Jake Cody's found 2 tens.
Okay, this is interesting because Cody's in quite a spot here. You know, Eames is going to raise pretty tight from the early position. But he knows Vanessa loves the 3-bet light. And he probably knows that she doesn't really know who John Eames is.
Re-raise.
Wow.
Coming for a cold 4-bet.
Now, Selbst, we could be pretty confident we'll get out of the way. But what about Eames? Aren't a lot of players who want to throw away ace-king without even seeing a flop?
Now, Eames knows Cody very well. They're very good friends. And he knows that Cody's definitely capable of making this move without the nuts. And he knows that Vanessa Selbst is definitely capable of 3-betting light. So I think once he's added all that up, he can definitely find a shove out of this.
Yeah, Jake Cody, a very talented player, live and online. He deposited, when he first started playing poker, $10 online, and hasn't made another deposit since. He's now got $17. Absolutely astonishing. John Eames weighing up who would do what with which.
Yep.
In they go.
He's decided to go for it. Vanessa has been caught with her fingers in the till.
Yeah, the only reason her cards aren't already over the line is just to disguise the fact that she 3-bet so light. There's a 100% fold. But what about Cody? What a decision for him.
Yep, tough spot. I honestly think he's going to fold. Even though 4-bet folding out of that stack is... It's not the kind of thing these guys like to do. But he's gained some new information here.
He now knows, doesn't he, Jake Cody, that the best he can hope for is this kind of thing, a race against ace-king. It's either that, or Eames is dominating him with a bigger pair.
Yep.
There's no chance, you would say, that Eames would be doing this with a nothing hand.
No, I don't think he would, and I think Jake knows that. And
Pass. Thank you.
makes a good fold.
So what? Come on.
Jake Cody read the situation correctly. That's a serious hand for John Eames. His best bet is that it's ace-king, and even then it's a race, and he simply doesn't want a race for all his chips this early in the tournament.
No, not at all.
John Eames is a really good friend of mine, actually. We've been travelling around Europe together for a few years now, and we've talked hands all the time, so we know quite a lot about how each other plays. So it's going to be... We actually haven't played too much together in, like, a kind of like a final table scenario. We've played a couple of early tables, which is, like, different, so it's going to be definitely interesting playing with John Eames.
There's John Eames at the top of the leaderboard after a pretty intense three-way pot. He's got over 15,000. And Vanessa Selbst, who is having a bit of a bluff there, is down at the bottom of the ladder.
Pass.
Channing, who is playing
Raise to 550.
sit-and-go strategy, sitting back in the early stages, finds a pair and makes a move. Oh, but look! The boots for the online qualifier, Rob Oakle.
Call.
He decided to just flat call, though.
Pass. 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 Call.
Ram's been enticed in. And Oakle presumably flat calling to disguise his hand. Well, it's bad news for Channing that there's an 8 in Vaswani's hand.
3 players.
That's a really bad flop for Oakle. I very much doubt he's going to get any more action.
That's a perfect spot to have.
Yeah, I think Channing is too clever to lose too many chips. Once he's been called in 2 spots, he might make the expected continuation bet, but if he meets resistance, he'll be done with the hand.
Yeah.
Bet 11.25.
It could now be time for Oakle to raise because he's got a player behind him. He doesn't want anyone backing into 2-pair. Obviously, we can see the hands. We know that's very unlikely, but from his point of view, one of them should have something to do with the flop.
Pass.
He's gone for the call. He's confident that his aces will hold up. And I wonder if that will make Channing think he's weaker than he is and could throw it away.
Check.
Very, very canny and experienced live player, Neil Channing. Will he sense the danger of Oakle's silent calling, or is he going for some kind of big move to try and exploit the man's conservatism?
Bet 2,400. Pass.
Yeah, that
No,
fold.
he's given it up. It's a good fold, Neil. He sensed that there was something in the long grass, and indeed there was.
Snake.
Don't worry, Neil. You didn't make a mistake. All 8 still there, as you'd expect, in this early stage of this heat here at Coral Late Night Poker. There's a mood of determination around this table. Some determined to win pots at all costs with any hands. Others determined to play correct strategy, sit back, be patient.
Rise to 675.
Rob Oakle, the online qualifier, who's got very nice chips after finding those aces against Neil Channing.
Pass.
He opens.
Pass. Pass.
Well, they seem to be giving it up, but Vanessa Selbst will not.
And so cheap.
Vanessa Selbst, of course, has a World Series of Poker bracelet in Omaha.
Yeah, I was actually there at that event. A friend of mine, Tony Phillips. Many players in the UK will know Tony Phillips. He's pretty loud. Yeah, she knocked him out on the bubble of the final when he had aces, and he wasn't too happy about that. But she went on to win the bracelet. So.
Well, she's got the best hand here, but she's out of position against the razor. She's checked it, and Oakle is continuing.
That's 1700.
Yeah, you can see there the way he bet, his mannerisms at the table. He doesn't have too much experience playing live.
Did you know you were betting 1700? You sure?
Yeah, no.
No, you didn't, right? You thought you were making a standard continuation bet of like 11.
Yeah, I was going to make it
12.25.
I was going to make it 14, so it's a bit more.
You thought it was 12.25, didn't you? So that would have been like a normal continuation bet.
Pretty standard, yeah.
Whew, man.
She's grilling him like Alan Sugar at an interview.
1700 he bet.
Yeah, it was a big bet.
No, just makes it trickier because she now has to make a decision. It's quite hard for her to check call. So now she might think her only real options here are to check raise or Lynn or fold her hand. So she has to make a decision now whether her hand is good or not. His bet is so big. It's over the pot.
Call.
Well, now she has just called, and we could assume that that in itself is a decision. That it means she's not going to pass on later streets.
Could be, yeah.
Well, very dangerous. We know, of course, that if Vanessa Selbst had shoved there, Oakle would have had to fold, but it's too late now because he's hit top pair and I think is going nowhere. Even if he worried about his kicker, it would now be aces and sixes with a king.
Yeah, she can't bet this river as well. She doesn't have the chips to do it. She has to check and hope he checks back with a pair of eights or a pair of sevens. Or she's going to lose this pot. I mean, she's going to lose it, but that's what she's hoping.
Well, she's checked it. She can't call anything now, can she, now those cards have come?
No, there's no real hands you can really have here that she's beaten. He has like 8-7 suited. Just like a random bluff on the flop.
Bet 2400.
I think she's going to work that out and fold her hand. Even if he has Queen 10, he's just got there.
She's got to figure he raised under the gun. Of course, he's the unknown at the table. He's the online qualifier. They don't know if he's a mixy action player or not. But for anyone, really, raising under the gun, c-betting the flop and checking the turn.
Yeah, exactly. If she had nothing, he would have bet the turn. Because he checked back, it kind of means that. It kind of tells her that he must have something.
The internet qualifier, so that's why I'm doing this.
Right. Crack on.
I can't beat very much, but the problem is that
Rob Oakle has only played a couple of live tournaments in his life. Just playing live is fairly new to him, never mind on TV.
You see the fact he's rocking back and forth in his chair. When people bluff, they generally tend to stay very still. I wonder if she's picked up on that.
Pass.
She figures it out. Vanessa releases the worst hand correctly. Good fold. And Rob Oakle takes the pot.
I think she took longer than normal on that hand, just because she's lost like every single pot she's played so far. And she's getting a little bit frustrated. But she made a good fold in the end.
yeah, pocket sevens.
I thought he had 9.
Don't tell him, Rob.
That's what I was thinking the whole
Worse. Pocket pair, right?
Throw no meat to these sharks.
I thought he had 9s the whole time. Nice.
Rob Oakle, the online qualifier, and John Eames take early chip leads in this match. Neil Channing's been a little unlucky with his timing so far, and it's not going too well for Vanessa Selps either. But they're both great players, and there's a lot of power in those chips.
Pass. Pass, pass. Pass, pass. Pass.
Now, the obvious move is to raise from the small blind when you find an ace. But if you're James Board, the obvious move with 7 deuce is to call and see the flop.
Why not? He likes to see flops. He doesn't like to be pushed around either. Is this a re-raise?
Re-raise.
Very good.
1700.
Vintage Boardy.
Yeah, he thinks that Oakle could be raising very light given his chip lead and the position they're in. He probably thinks Oakle has worse than ace-6, but it's very hard to make the call or raise again with ace-6.
Yep. It's pretty bad to call out of position with his hand, so James Board's put him in quite a tough spot with ace-6. Obviously, at a 4-bet, it's definitely an option you could take.
If he 4-bets, I think we'll both be incredibly impressed. But the natural move is to fold. He could think his way to the 4-bet. If he thinks, what have I noticed about James Board so far? What kind of player is he? What does he think about me? Is he capable of doing this very light? The answer would be yes.
Yep.
And then the 4-bet would be the next step. But it's still hard to make, isn't it, James? Even if you know it's the right thing, to put a lot of your chips at risk when you haven't got much, it's just not easy.
It's not easy. You have to tick all those boxes you just listed and then pluck up the courage.
Pass.
He's let it go, and
James Board wants to show that hand so much.
he really does.
You got a little smirk, look, you can see it.
I was beating you, I reckon. It's a bit early for that, though.
Mentally, James Board is already inviting the family round for the viewing.
100%.
Please put your blue and green chips to the front so that everybody can see them.
Vanessa Selps is going to be in the big blind this hand. Her chip position is not hugely comfortable.
No, she's in the big blind with 13 bigs. I mean, if someone does raise in late position with a weak hand, she has enough chips to make them fold.
Pass. Thank you. Raise to 1100.
Well, Ram Vaswani is raising with a pretty weak hand.
Yeah, this is an ideal position, so hopefully she can pick up something to shove with.
So you raise all in?
Channing's got in first with the shove. What great instincts.
Pass.
That's more like it for Channing. Scrapes in a pot at last.
Channing's really good at these sitting goes, knows exactly how many big blinds he has in every single hand, and knows what he should be doing when. Very experienced.
Quite relaxing to play it.
I'm pretty nervous about today's game. I never got to play late night poker in the old days. I'm well old enough to have done so, but I was very excited to get invited a couple of years ago, and then I got the swine flu and I couldn't come. So I've only played it once. I got heads up in my heat and I got bashed up. So I'm hoping today, if I get heads up, it doesn't matter. I can come second, I'll still be in the final.
There is a $320,000 prize pool here at Coral Late Night Poker, and the winner will get $150,000.
Pass.
Nice hand for Joe Beavers. 2 jacks.
Raise to 1200.
Obviously, it would raise it up.
Can't see him ever folding his hand with his chip stack.
Pass. Pass.
Oh, it's all in a clock for Vanessa Selps.
Yeah, 100%. She's definitely not folding his hand.
Feigning, I think, a little bit of uncertainty about her hand.
Three-ways all in.
She knows she can't fold though with her stack.
Pass.
Okul gets out of the way, and I'm sure Joe will pretty much snap call.
Call.
2 jacks for Joe Beavers, 2 overcards for Vanessa Selbst, and we need an ace or a queen to keep this top tournament player at the table. Joe Beavers will get some change if he loses the pot, but he'll be in trouble if that happens.
Door card queen.
Oh, Selbst hits the queen, top pair. Bad news for Beavers.
Let's see the turn. 7.
7 gives her 2 pair.
And let's see the river.
Beavers needs a jack.
8.
No, Selbst doubles up. Joe Beavers is left saying, send me the bill.
Lovely double there for Selbst. Puts her back way into contention.
Joe Beavers has chips behind, about 5,000 or 6,000. Just over 10 big blinds for him. So kind of one move territory. It's quiz time again, James.
Hit me.
Which 2 players at this table used to be professional snooker players?
Fran Vaswani.
Yes.
And John Eames.
Absolutely right. Did you know that, or did you guess based on who looks most like a snooker player?
I knew that.
You knew that. 2 former snooker pros.
0-15.
That won't help them at this game, though.
I'd like to be locked up with them.
99, yeah. 12 years.
Joe Beavers has moved all in. And Jake Cody's going to pass. Fran Vaswani, Beavers' Hendon Mob stablemate.
Has found something.
Will he be the one to knock his fellow mobster out of the tournament?
What does he have?
Oh, he's got an ace.
He has every reason to believe his hand is the best hand.
He does, but he's only got 10, 11,000 himself. He doesn't want to lose 5,000 or 6,000. He knows that Beavers is absolutely good enough to do this with a worse hand than ace-6. Given the chip positions, he makes the call. Ace high is in front for Vaswani. He could be knocking out his longtime friend and colleague, Joe Beavers. Unless Beavers can hit that hand on the flop. And it's a great drawing hand, Jack Nine of Diamonds.
Oh, yeah, it has a lot of potential post flop.
Let's see the flop.
Beavers needing a jack or a 9 or to hit that draw. That is a bad, bad flop for Beavers.
Oh, such a bad flop.
Offsuit jacks and 9s or a runner straight.
Let's see the turn, please.
Okay, good to with 3 outs.
9, 10 or jack, but not of hearts. Will save Beavers.
Let's see the river, please.
Oh, and it's no good. Queens and deuces with an ace for Vaswani. And Joe is not going to improve his record to 4 late-night poker finals. Really unlucky night he's had. Ram, you knocked out your closest friend at the table.
Ex-friend.
So we're down to 7 at last in this Coral late-night poker heat. But 7 is still too many. They've got to knock out some more to have big enough stacks to play with.
Exactly.
Because he's got a bad reputation in trading without a license.
No, just because the district they're in, you can't get one. So you'd have to move into Westminster or something, and then the premises is much more.
Pass.
You probably couldn't get one anyway. There's probably too many licenses there already.
Round they go to John Eames on the button. He's been playing very well. Very good game.
To Channing. The Queen's in, he's shoved.
Channing is all in.
Selbst has ace-jack. She's definitely going to call. Snap call.
Yeah, absolutely. You can totally see why Channing would make this move. It's completely the right thing to do from the small blind with his better-than-average hand. But it's an easy call for Selbst. He's not in terrible shape, Neil. He's about 6 to 4.
Yeah, but he's live.
Queen 10, Queen of Hearts.
He's live. He needs the double up. Vanessa Selbst will get change if she loses the pot. If Channing loses, he'll just get a bus ticket.
Here's the flop. Deuce.
All
Ace 4.
top pair aces for Ms. Selbst.
It's one of the worst flops Channing's ever seen. Oh,
well,
outs.
A 10 or a queen can save Channing.
Quite hard to do.
Nothing a black belt can't do.
5 outs.
Oh, he's missed it.
Unlucky Neil.
Neil Channing, one of the most popular guys in poker, great cash and tournament player, has had a pretty miserable night with the cards, and he's gone. Vanessa Selbst, meanwhile, a struggling short stack just a few hands ago, is in much better shape, and that will be a big danger to the table. Amazing turnaround in the fortunes of Vanessa Selbst. Now chip leader, and it's Jake Cody who's struggling with just over 10 big blinds. I'm liking John Eames in this seat, I must say. He doesn't have great chips at the moment, but he absolutely could have a result.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player and knows exactly what's going on.
Raise to 1200.
Raising again, Selbst.
The Queen 6, having fun with her newfound chips.
Rob Okel hasn't so far looked like someone who would shove it back at her with ace 5.
Re-raise to 3000.
But he has done it. Very good raise. And look at this. If Okel hadn't raised, then James Board certainly would have done.
Yep.
There was too much heat. He had to get out of that kitchen. And Selbst, she figures the chips aren't right to shove in on him. And respecting him because he hasn't played too many hands, she thinks he's probably going to have better than ace 5.
Vanessa, I've seen her around on the circuit. Obviously, she's got a good game. She's won a lot this year, and I think she's one that I'm going to be a little wary of. I think they might think that I'm probably tighter and maybe a bit scared of them. So hopefully, you might see me triple barrel with air a few times. So we'll see if we can get it through.
The blinds will be going up quite soon to 4 and 800, and they're all going to be short stacked when that happens. They all desperately need a couple of hands to clash and players to go out.
Pass.
Something's got to happen.
Jake, can I see your sack, please?
That's 6.
Board making threatening gestures, asking for a count.
Taking advantage of his momentum.
Raise to 1200.
Making the raise with King 9, and Cody, whose stack was checked, has nothing to fight back with, but it's Ram Vaswani, the chip leader, who's the danger.
Call.
Wow. Very surprised by this play here.
And now Eames could go for the squeeze play. Could he do it, or will he know that Vaswani's calling deceptively with a big hand?
No, not at all. Ram Vaswani likes to go out of the blinds with hands that are weak, like Sue connected and stuff.
And he doesn't go for it. I think Vaswani perhaps was trying to induce a squeezy raise from Eames, but he didn't get it. And look at this, James Board has hit top pair, kings. There's no flush draw for anyone.
Unbelievable flop, this. What an absolute disaster for Ram.
It's terrible for Ram. Just one overcard.
Bet 1300.
And having hidden the strength of his hand, he's going to be pretty sure these jacks are still good.
Especially with James's opening frequency. There's no reason to believe why his hand's not good.
Call.
Well, he's just calling, and that's a card that might help him because there's now 2 overcards to his jacks, and if Board bets again, as he surely will...
Board has 2 options here, to bet and check. The reasons why you might check is to conceal the strength of your hand And then if it came a brick on the river, you could bet and try and get called out of a worse hand.
I'm all in.
All in, he declares. All in. Vaswani
Wow.
has got to be able to dodge this trap. I mean, is board trying to look like he's bluffing with the all-in declare?
Yeah, pretty sure Ram just has to fold his hand now.
Well, he does fold, and that's a great fold. Ram Vaswani, a very instinctive player, good feel for the game. He played the jacks really nicely to deceive, but he went behind, and he sensed that he was behind.
Key thing in poker, if you do decide to slow play your hand pre-flop, you have to be able to get away from it. And he did just that. Well played.
With that, James Board goes chip leader here at Coral Late Night Poker.
Pass. Pass.
And the clock's ticking for Jake Cody. He's just not happy with what he's finding.
No, he's getting dealt no cards whatsoever.
He looks pretty sick about it.
No, Ram on the bottom of Jack 8.
Raise to 1,500. Pass.
Mr. Seltz has noticed that Ram has been opening a lot of pots, especially on her big blind, which is now Ram's button.
How much did you start with?
Sorry?
How much did you start with?
14, I think.
I'm all in.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
What a play.
Raise all in.
What a play. With only Jack 4, Seltz analyses the situation, figures Vaswani is nicking and pushes those chips in. Great play from Seltz. So, we're going to leave the action there for tonight with still 6 players in action. Join us next time to see who goes through.